holiday season, you might be looking for nutritious, convenient meals to keep you energized on jam-packed days. Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal delivery service, can help you fuel up for brekkie, lunch, or dinner with chef-prepared, dietitian-approved, ready-to-eat meals delivered straight to your door. They just drop them at your door, people. You'll save time and eat well. You'll stay on track with your healthy lifestyle while taking all of your holiday to-dos in stride with good meals in the tum-tum. If you're too busy with all this stuff, these meals are easy to get done. They taste great. All you've got to do is head over to factormeals.com/expandingreality50 and use code expandingreality50 to get 50% off. That's code expandingreality50 at factormeals.com/expandingreality50 to get 50% off.
This podcast is sponsored by Skylight Frame. If you're looking for a great holiday gift, there is nothing more meaningful than a Skylight digital picture frame. Skylight is a touchscreen frame that everyone in the family can send photos to from anywhere, and they'll pop up in seconds. It is the perfect gift for new families, parents, and grandparents, or anyone who has all of their photos stuck on their phone. With Skylight, you can actually preload photos before you give it as a gift, without even opening the box. Once it's unwrapped and plugged in, the frame will light up with all those special memories. Surprise your loved ones this year with a beautiful Skylight frame, now available in multiple sizes and colors. Grab yours today because they're very popular and sell out around the holidays. For a limited time, you can get $15 off your purchase when you go to skylightframe.com/Mary. That's right. To get $15 off your Skylight frame, just go to skylightframe.com/Mary. That's SKYLIGHTFRAME.com/Mary.
A choice right now, between fear and love. It's just a rock.
Out of the dark night of ignorance and into the shining light of truth.
Expanding reality.
A population of citizens capable of critical thinking.
We don't see things as they are, we see them as we are.
There's a level of reality where everything dissolves into an ocean of energy.
We empower our experience by insisting on our authenticity.
That's very profound. Very.
Expanding reality.
Welcome to Expanding Reality. I am your host, Brandon Thomas. On this episode, I got the honor of sitting down with one of the greatest minds of our time, Dr. Ervin Laszlo. He's written countless books. He's a Hungarian philosopher of science, a systems theorist, among many things. He is incredible, guys. This is a wonderful conversation. We go deep on this one, so enjoy it. He is also a part of the Higher Self Expo, which is going to be again on July 17th and 18th, the 24-hour global conference. He is going to be one of the keynote speakers, and it should be fantastic. So, without any further ado, Dr. Ervin Laszlo. Ladies and gentlemen, beyond excited to be sitting with the great Dr. Ervin Laszlo on the show today. He is going to be part of the Higher Self Expo, which we will get into. Dr. Laszlo, how are you today, my friend?
I feel pretty good. Thank you very much.
Good deal. Okay, so you are a Hungarian philosopher of science, a systems theorist, an integral theorist, and a classical pianist. You just check all the boxes. Is there anything you can't do?
Oh, I don't know. I'm not all of those things. I've been some of these things during my life, in my longer lifetime, but right now I try to concentrate my work on expressing my ideas in writing and in words. Because I think we are trying to be timely about the problems that we are now facing, a unique chance in society to change our ways. I'm trying to help that kind of transformation.
I agree. We are at that breakdown or breakthrough point. So which one do you think that we're at?
That's right.
Which one of those two do you think is the inevitable future for humanity?
Well, I mean, it's not a question of forecasting the future. It's a question of creating it. It's what we do. I have finished, it seems strange to say this, but half an hour ago, I sent to the publisher the completed copy of my latest little book, just 100 pages, which is called Upshift, Meeting the Challenge. And I say, yes, we can upshift, we can meet the challenge, It's up to us. So it's. I don't think anything is decided. These big questions are not yet decided, fortunately. But we have a chance to create a better future for ourselves, but we have to be a bit informed and act together and have the will and a bit of the wisdom to do that.
Completely agree. Do you think that is achievable in our lifetime, or what do you think is achievable when we can all band together?
Well, I mean, it's either achieve it very short order or we won't, because the problems are irreversible, many of them, and are certainly reaching points that will be very difficult to reverse. So it's a question of acting now. Change can be very fast, partly because the whole system becomes sensitized to change. It has been destabilized. There is a whole process of undoing the dead hand of the past in a way, and trying to create a new one. A real disruptive change is happening, but that's the basis for constructive change. We have to disrupt the old before we can construct the new. And this is now in front of us. This change can be very fast because of that, and because there's the internet and all this media that we are using right now, for example, which can communicate ideas. And so therefore, ideas can spread very fast. And we can go back to this famous saying by Victor Hugo, also other people have been credited with that too, who said, "There's nothing as powerful as an idea whose time has come." And the question is coming up with the ideas and allowing them to exercise power. That's sort of, in a nutshell, our task.
It does feel like we're going through a collective consciousness shift right now. And I know you talk about the upshift a lot. So what do you feel was the catalyst for that? It seems to be accelerating.
Well, I mean, it's a catalyst. Partly the virus is a catalyst also, because it destabilizes the existing system. Climate change is certainly a catalyst, and all the corollary problems that we associate with it, migrant problems, the poverty in the world, the violence, that the unrest, and all those sort of things are together catalyzing a movement which is beyond what we have got, not the status quo. For a long time, relatively long time, let's say decades, we used to think that we have got to stabilize and perfect the way that we are operating as the world. They just make it a bit more equitable, use better technologies and that sort of thing. But otherwise, we must use the world, we keep the world as we have, and just try to get a little more control over it. And now I think partly since the virus, but partly also the effect of the global warming, which can no longer be denied, then it's now a new phase is starting, a phase of recognized change that we know has to happen, because it simply can't stay put the way we were.
I am interested in the concept of consciousness and where we are right now. Now, just for briefly here, it's my understanding that ancient cultures weren't that primitive. I know a lot of people talk about how the ancient cultures were pretty primitive. I don't know about that. I'm not necessarily convinced by that argument. So the question is you lived an incredible life, man. I mean, you've been on this planet for over 8 decades of observation and study. You've written countless books. In that time, have you a sense that humanity as a collective has become more enlightened, or do you think that we've slipped into some sort of cognitive entropy?
I don't think it's an entropy. I think we are recognizing gradually that we are connected to each other and to nature, perhaps you might say even to the universe, so that we are not a mechanical puppet, running down as we used to think on the classical Newtonian worldview idea. So I think we are now on the point of waking up to having a deeper source that we can tap into, and trying to help ourselves to becoming what we are, instead of this superficial grabbing kind of being who just looks for short-term advantages from everything. I think we are getting wiser. We have to get wiser. We are the old complacency is the deadliest of things, deadliest attitude, and the complacency is gone. Is largely gone in the world. It's not just the way it is. You can't just let it go the way it is. It seems that we are really called upon to do something. And that is a very, very positive thing. It's the prompting. It's the signal that says get up and get going.
I agree. Now is the time, right? And it does feel like you are an advocate of quantum theory consciousness. So classical mechanics cannot explain consciousness, and enlightenment and superposition could. So is this the direction we're going with our understanding of consciousness?
Well, I think our understanding is that consciousness is a connecting element. It's something which is not local. The old idea, the old paradigm of consciousness is that it's something that's generated by the brain. It's here and now. It's if the brain is working, you have consciousness. If it's not working or not working well, the consciousness gets derailed or diffused. And if the brain isn't working, consciousness disappears. That was the old idea. But now increasingly it turns out that consciousness isn't 100% dependent on the brain. Consciousness seems to be more like a channel, a transformer. So obviously, if the transformer doesn't work well, the product is not very good either, the result. But it seems that even in the absence of normal brain function, probably even of any kind of brain function, consciousness can persist. And that's the famous near-death experiences, the out-of-body experiences, even after-death experiences, and whatever you call it, channeling or entering into deeper states of consciousness. All of the evidence is really coming together that the ancients have known, and what we have largely forgotten, that there is a consciousness into which we are tapping. So it's not that we're producing it; we are tapping into it, and we can use it to connect, because this is a non-local phenomenon. Non-locality is a key word nowadays. It's very important, because it's if the information on which we operate is non-local, then we can access it. It's like the internet, only you don't need the electronic mechanisms for it, systems. It's there, it's given. It's in the Akashic field, as I used to call it. So basically, I think, yes, a new idea of a new paradigm of consciousness is coming about, and it is a paradigm of conscious connection, or actually subconscious connection to begin with, but we can become conscious of it, and then we can make use of it.
Now, you speak of systems theory, which is just the interdisciplinary study of systems. Now, I'm very interested in if you change one part of a system, it will affect the rest. So having to do with humanity and moving forward during this time of ascension or awakening, or however one wants to put it. So what adjustments would be beneficial for implementing substantial change in the scientific modality that would introduce spirituality as an accentuation to science, instead of being relegated to, all too ignored pseudoscience?
Well, this is a very, very deep question. I've been working on this and trying to write on this quite a bit these days. I think the old principle of the whole that is greater than the sum of the parts is coming back. Another principle that comes back is that what is good for the whole is good for the part, ultimately is good for the part. But what is good for the part is not necessarily good for the whole. So it's the opposite of this politics, which says just take myself or my country or my enterprise or my family or whatever. Take that first and never mind the rest, or actually don't worry too much about the rest. What we have got to do is just take care of one part, our part, what is ours. So this is the contrary to the needed principle. The needed principle is you have to take care of the whole, make sure that the whole is safe and sound as much as we possibly can. And then we can see that the part also has the optimum chances of operating. This starts with healthcare, starts with the medical arts, where you have to, nowadays, you have to recognize increasingly, and it's a hopefully hopeful sign, recognize that we have to preserve the health of an organism. You have to look at the whole organism and not just at that malfunctioning part, which typically Western medical science is always just looking at what went wrong and trying to set it right. And in the process, what it does to the whole organism wasn't very often not really considered. So the principle that we have to operate is keep the whole safe and sound as much as possible. The whole, and biologically, is our organism. The whole, in the system's perspective, is actually the whole web of life on the planet. That's the whole of which you are a part. And so if we contribute to the health of that whole system, to its chemical, thermal, and physical balances, then we get ourselves a safer environment. That means every part of the environment plays a role in that.
Yeah, everything's connected and has to do with everything else. And this is your systems work. I love this principle and I love this idea. Everything's perfect. Everything's supposed to be here, which is great. It's just like there's no vestigial organs. We just haven't figured out what they're for yet. It's kind of like with our planet. It is an organism in itself. And so I love the way that you refer to the care of the planet.
Yeah, absolutely right, yes. You're a good systems thinker, yes. This is how we have to think. Nature, evolution, doesn't create separate parts. Evolution creates integral sets of entities connected together, coherent, complex, and working together to maintain the entire system. That's the secret of health, organic health. That's the secret of social, ecological, economic health as well. The whole system has to have its balance, has to be viable so that we can be a part of it. So this is, it used to be a revolutionary idea, but it goes back to what the ancients knew about, the Greeks knew about this, obviously. Then in the beginning of the 19th century, Jan Smuts, the South African statesman, came up with this book on holism, and it was a bit of metaphysical holism, but it was a good push that it gave to this whole movement. And we have to come back to the idea that indeed, we are parts of wholes. We are wholes ourselves and parts looking out. And so the principle of the Janus-phased entity, Arthur Koestler, the great novelist, said that in the 1970s, wrote a book on beyond reductionism. And he said, we are all Janus-phased, two faces, forward and back. We're only one face is down, inside, to the smaller level, to inside us as a system. The other face is facing outward to our environment. And so we are wholes in regard to one, and we are parts in regard to the other. But the part itself is part of a whole, and that whole is a part of still larger wholes. So this is a sequentially holistic, hierarchical, heterarchical world actually, in which all things interact with all other things. And the maintenance of the balance, of the equilibrium, of the viability of the whole systems is what is the key to the health and to the survival and the evolution of the part.
And what's interesting is introduction of variables, because variables alter a system. I mean, anything needs then time to adjust and create a balance within the new variables that are created, such as mankind's impact on the planet, such as the destruction or deforestation of an entire region or area. And these are the things that we need to pay attention to balance out or make a better equilibrium for systems in general, especially the one that plays such a large role on our survival. I think it's very important.
Yes, so this is a vital interest to make sure that our environment is not limited to that we recognize that our environment is not limited to just to us here and now. Our environment is ecologically, is the whole web of life, is our vital environment. And everything, any variable that you introduce anywhere in the system penetrates throughout the system. It changes it. But you have to have resilience. We have to have motivation. We have to get the movement going towards re-establishing health and creating new forms of viable, resilient systems. That's the task in the new biology. It is a task in the new medical sciences. And it would be about time to have the task recognized also in the political sciences, which is, of course, slower, but it's coming along.
Yeah. And I would add to that observant as well, because we need to be able to maintain and monitor the systems as they come about, the changes, and be able to adapt to that.
Yes, indeed.
So I know I don't have you long, and we'll wrap it up here in just a few minutes, but the Higher Self Expo is what you're a part of here. You're going to be a wonderful addition to the speakers that are already there. Of course, the topic this year for this symposium is where science meets spirituality, one of your fortes, and I'm extremely excited to hear your presentation. So what will you be speaking about at the Higher Self Expo this time?
I don't know. Whatever comes, I think.
I love it. Just shoot from the hip, huh?
I like to speak spontaneously. Even our early discussion today, I didn't really know what it is that interests you. But I happen to talk with you about your interest, as long as I can say something about it that intersects with my interests. There's so much to say, so much to do. I have a lot of material accumulated. I have no less than 4 books coming out for the rest of this year. It just so happens. I mean, one of them I finished half an hour ago, but the others have already in print. And before the end of October, all should be published. And there's a lot of material, so I can dip into all that I've been thinking about and try to come up with what interests the people around me. Hopefully, what interests is not just a personal hype, but it's something which is really meaningful. It's in the common interest.
Well, I think I could speak for a lot of people by saying that whatever interests you interests us, because you've got a very incredible, sight to see big picture items, and your specialties are so niche. But the way that you tie everything together on a large philosophical level is something I'm incredibly impressed with. So we'll wrap it up here, Dr. Laszlo. I just wanted to thank you so much for your time. Did you have anything else that you'd like to add to this conversation?
I'm very pleased to find that you are a good, real systems thinker, and that you can make sense of the world around you and of yourself in the world using these concepts, which I think are a great improvement over the rather mechanistic and separatist and fractionated kind of concepts that we have been using as a mainstream society, operating as though nature would be kind of a mechanism. So society itself is almost like a mechanism that you can sort of push and pull buttons on it and replace parts if it doesn't work, or that kind of thing. Purely the old ideas. And it's time now to come back to this kind of systems thinking, which you represent, and I'm very happy to talk with you about it, and we can develop these ideas also in the future as you like.
Absolutely. You are welcome anytime. You have a home here. I know that you and I have much to discuss, so I would be honored to have you back on in the future. That would be wonderful.
Right. I'll be seeing you anyway on the show, I think. So it's very nice to talk with you, and I wish you all the best.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you, sir. A true honor to be able to sit down with the great Dr. Ervin Laszlo. Please check the show description for all the ways to find him, including a link to the Higher Self Expo, which will be occurring on July 17th and 18th, the global conference with, I think, over 33 different speakers. It's a 24-hour event. It's fascinating. So he will be a part of that. You guys just check out the links in the description to find not only his works, but direct contact to that expo so that you can enjoy it, and the other great speakers as well. So as far as this show goes, guys, you can find us at expandingrealitypodcast.com. That is where the links to all of the socials will be found, as well as the YouTube link, which will take you to this video. So if you're an audio-only listener, go check out the videos. There's a whole another component to this that you're missing out on that you can take advantage of for free. So if you enjoy the show, guys, liking and sharing is always the best way to do it. We also have a Patreon on expandingrealitypodcast.com that you can contribute if you feel called to. Beyond that, guys, go out into your world. Think about these deep concepts. Look forward to the Higher Self Expo coming up again July 17th and 18th with Dr. Ervin Laszlo. As well as get out of the left-hand lane, buy a meal or a coffee for someone in line behind you. Let's just remember that we live in a great system and we're all part of this massive, beautiful organism called planet Earth. Beyond all of that, guys, go out into your world this week and just be good to one another. Thank you all so much for listening. We'll see you next time.